try this method in case you are an auditory learner, and maybe this will help you, maybe it won't. These videos are not required. They are just to help you kind of get some more information from the different chapters that we're going to read. So the first thing I'm going to do is make this larger. We're going to begin. So, chapter 1 focused on effective reading strategies. And you probably already knew some of this just going through life, going through school. So, it just might be reiteration of some of this. So, when we are reading in this class, we're going to practice active reading because that helps improve the knowledge of what we're reading, remembering what we read, and also analyzing what we read. And so it does involve engaging with the text with different strategies, which we will go over. And the process of active reading is something that you're going to be using for the rest of your life, really, in your college courses, but also in the professional world as well. There's a lot of active reading, no matter what you do. So to set yourself up for success, when you are ready to, read the passages or begin writing, whatever it may be, make sure you have a cozy little place to do it. Silence your phone or put your notifications on hold. Turn off the TV, avoid social media. Some people like to play some classical music as they're working, and I believe it's been found to help people focus more. And then if it's a long reading, break the reading into chunks. Like today, I'm going to read chapters 1 through 5. And then the next day, I'm going to read chapters 5 through 10. In this particular course, what we're reading is short stories or essays. So more than likely, you will be able to finish it in one sitting. And then it says build in breaks and rewards. So for instance, when I'm working, I like to practice that whole self-care, right? So I'm not just going to work, work, work. I like to take a break and maybe if I work hard for an hour, then I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go hug on my cat for a little bit. And then I work another hour and then I can get a chocolate or something just so that I can kind of break up the monotony of what I'm doing. And then it says assess prior knowledge before starting. So that means, my bad. Let's say we're reading an essay on the Civil War. You would say, just before you start reading, I remember XYZ about the Civil War. So let's see if this essay addresses what I already know. Now, if you don't know anything about what you're reading, that's totally okay too. You're just going to have to make sure you're practicing those active reading strategies. So, assessing prior knowledge, I just kind of went already over this already. And I will share this as well with you guys. So understanding your purpose is going to be really important for this particular class because there's different types of essays. So when you're reading the essay, think about what is my purpose in doing this? Am I trying to build an essay around it? Am I trying to write a response paragraph to it? Am I reading it to understand the meaning, the plot, the author's tone, all of that good stuff? So that will help you kind of gauge where you are as you read the essay. And again, that's active reading right there. It also helps you determine how much energy and focus you should allocate to it. If it's a particular essay style or book style that you are not very familiar with, like process essays, then you might have to be like, okay, I really gotta lock it in and figure out what's going on with this essay. So before you begin reading, it's a good idea to kind of preview, skim it a little bit, see if there's any bolded words, any subtitles, any kind of signaling that shows, okay, this essay is about the Civil War, and then this particular paragraph talks about before the Civil War, and then during, and then after, or whatever it may be. You can also look for bulleted points, lists. Those will really stand out as well as something important. Okay, So this is one of my favorite things to do is annotating or marking up the text. So I really like to engage with whatever I'm reading and mark it up and highlight it and circle it and exit and write questions or comments about it. So all of that is active reading. And you can kind of use whatever symbols you want that makes sense to you. Um, so like you could use a check mark for important ideas, or I like to use an exclamation point or a double exclamation point for very like important things, or double check, whatever works for you. The question mark is, universally like, I don't know what this is talking about, or maybe I need more information about what this particular thing is. And then I like to draw arrows. So let's say like in paragraph 2, it references something that was said in paragraph 1. So I draw like a little arrow to show, oh, I see a connection here between paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. So annotating is specifically writing words in the margins, or it says or between the lines. That's only if it's double spaced, I really think. So that's where you write your like reaction, like this reminds me of blah blah blah, or this is something I learned, or I already knew this, or why is this character doing this? Those are examples of annotations. And then you can also note, like, if you agree or disagree with the author, especially for narrative or descriptive essays. So if a narrative essay is going on and you're reading it and you're like, I don't know about that. I don't think, mustard is the best condiment or whatever they say. Then, underline it and say disagree or what have you. All of that active reading is going to help you throughout this course. And then there's something called the test method. So TEST stands for thesis, evidence, summary, and transitions. So thesis, underline, highlight, mark up everything, the thesis, because that is what's going to drive the whole essay. That's the main idea. And then look for things that support whatever is said in that essay. You might need to create a summary of key points if there is not one created for you already. And then notice the transitions. So if it's an argument essay, an argumentative essay, there's going to be, some people believe XYZ, but I believe ABC. And so those transitions are really important because it means the essay is going like this and then it's going to turn like this. If it's a but, or unfortunately, or whatever the transition word may be. So after reading, it's always a good idea to create an informal outline of key ideas, stuff you learned, and supporting points. That's really important because you are kind of visualizing, hey, in paragraph 1, it talked about XYZ. My cat is just freaking out right now. Sorry about that. In paragraph 2, they talked about the middle of the Civil War, and then paragraph 3, after the Civil War, and then identify the main points and supporting ideas. And I think that's where highlighting really comes into play here. If you have the text version, like the actual book itself, highlighting it, marking it up. And then if you have the digital version, I'm not quite sure if they have any of those type of annotation tools. I'll have to look into that. And then also, if it's something that maybe you are not familiar with, a topic, you can summarize, write a summary paragraph. That's where you kind of review everything that was discussed and just kind of jot down the main ideas, and also maybe like your reactions and annotations. That kind of goes along with this next slide here, which is paraphrasing. So we want to make sure that when we're summarizing, we're not just like regurgitating the words in the essay, that we are using our own words as we summarize. So I like to think of it as, okay, I read this essay. Now, how would I describe it to a friend? And that's the best way to write a summary paragraph. So time management for reading. We kind of already touched on this a little bit, but make sure you're planning ahead and that you're staying on top of the different assignments that go through this course. Now, vocabulary is something that we're going to start with because the more vocabulary you know, the easier reading is, but also your writing. So when you come across new vocabulary words, you're going to put them on something called a vocabulary diary, which is one of your assignments. Here is what it is. 3 words should be done every week for a total of 30 words right here. I forgot to add numbers, my bad. So for instance, vocabulary word number 1 is regiment. I saw it on page 12 of my textbook. It is a noun. I looked up the definition and I used like a reliable source. So like Urban Dictionary is not going to work right here. Dictionary.com is good though. And then an example sentence, and then a picture representation so that you have that visual kind of symbol in your head. Oh, regiment, and then you can see all the soldiers lined up, and then you're like, oh, regiment is like a group of soldiers, a unit of soldiers. So that is something that you're going to be working on as you go through this course. It will be due, I believe, at the very end, from what I can remember. And this is just a summary of everything that I've talked about. Hopefully you found this helpful. If so, then I will continue to do these videos and I will also share these slideshows with you. All right.